This is VOA News. I'm Joe Ramsey. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says 4 people were killed in the aftermath of fresh Russian strikes, the latest attack to cause massive power disruptions across the country and pile pressure on its embattled critical infrastructure as temperatures plunge.
Енергетики одразу розпочали відновлювальні роботи. Максимум зусиль.
He said, quote, power engineers immediately started restoration works in his nightly address, adding it was necessary to switch to emergency shutdowns in many Ukrainian regions. A new Russian missile barrage had been anticipated in Ukraine for days, and it took place just as emergency blackouts were due to end, with previous damage repaired. The strikes, which plunged parts of Ukraine back into freezing darkness with temperatures below 0 degrees Celsius, 32 Fahrenheit, were the latest in weeks of attacks, hitting critical infrastructure and cutting off heat and water to many. At least 33 people died when a landslide buried a bus in northwestern Colombia on Sunday, and 9 have been rescued alive, the Interior Minister said.
La lamentable noticia nos tiene muy tristes de que hemos identificado ya.
The landslide caused by strong rains hit the vehicle about 230 kilometers, or 140 miles northwest of the capital, Bogota. Colombia's President Gustavo Petro described the incident as a tragedy in a Twitter message. Colombia had been hit by an unusually heavy rainy season, blamed on the La Niña weather phenomenon. Find more on our website, voanews.com, or follow us on the VOA mobile app. This is VOA News. South Africa's governing African National Congress National Executive Committee has says the party will vote against adoption of a report that found preliminary evidence President Cyril Ramaphosa may have violated the Constitution. Reuters correspondent David Doyle has more.
Outside a meeting venue in Johannesburg, a crowd sang its support for Cyril Ramaphosa. The executive committee of his ruling African National Congress met on Monday to discuss allegations he may have committed misconduct and violated his oath of office. That follows a report by a panel of experts into allegations that large sums of foreign currency were hidden at Ramaphosa's game farm, and that he failed to report the money missing when it was stolen in 2020. On Monday, Ramaphosa filed court papers challenging the report, while at the Executive Committee meeting, ANC Treasurer General Paul Mashatile announced the ANC would vote in Parliament against adoption of the panel report.
Sudan's coup leaders in the main pro-democracy group have signed a deal to establish a civilian-led transitional government following the military takeover last year. But key players refused to participate, and no deadline was set for the transition to begin, and it appears to offer only the broadest outlines for how the country will resume its progression to democracy. The U.S. Supreme Court, in its latest clash over religion and gay rights in the case of a Christian graphic artist who objects to designing wedding websites for gay couples, AP Washington correspondent Sagar Magani reports.
Lori Smith says ruling against her would force artists of all types to do work against their beliefs. The High Court's conservative majority sounded sympathetic. The big question from Sonia Sotomayor and the liberals.
How about people who don't believe in interracial marriage? Or about people who don't believe that disabled people should get married?
Colorado and most other states have a law saying if a product is offered to the public, it must be offered to all customers. The High Court has sided with religious plaintiffs in a series of cases. Sagar Magani, Washington.
Brazil's indigenous leaders were disappointed on Monday after President-elect Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva appeared to backtrack on a promise to create a Ministry of Indigenous Affairs to help restore rights and protections that were undermined by the current government. Lula said on Friday he might instead decide on a special department linked to the presidential office rather than a fully fledged ministry, which disappointed indigenous leaders who were taken by surprise by his comments. I'm Joe Ramsey.